Christmas Day on BBC One.
Every year at Christmas throughout the 1970s, pretty much like just about everybody else in the country, Uncle Ernest, Mother and me would sit down in front of the telly on Christmas night and watch the Morecambe and Wise Christmas show.
At 8:55, the Morecambe and Wise Christmas Show with special guest...
What's his name? Elephant John.
It was without doubt a golden era of television. You got Mike Yard in Persons, the two Ronnies, Ivor the Engine, and my favourite, Pebble Mill at 1. Christmas night 1977 saw the very last Morecambe and Wise Christmas show made by the BBC being broadcast. We didn't know it at the time, but a golden era had well and truly come to an end.
At 7:15, Bruce Forsyth and the Generation Game.
Especially now that Mother's favourite, Bruce Forsyth, had also defected to the other side, grown a moustache to have his Bruce's big night.
The big night is on ITV.
Whatever that
Can't
was.
see you, but you can see me on the network. Every Saturday night. Get the whole of the network together tonight.
He's bloody good. He's bloody good, that Mr. Forsyth. He is. He's bloody good.
Do you want a cup of tea?
Oh, yeah. I'll have a cup of tea. Glad.
What
I'll
about
have a cup of tea if you don't mind.
you want a cup of tea?
David, I would like a glass of Tizer, please, Mother.
Would you like a biscuit with it?
No, I don't want any biscuits unless we've got any Garibaldi.
I don't think we've got any Garibaldi. I think that's glass of tea. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Eh? You'd like it.
On the railways, another golden era would also soon be drawing to an end. 1977 was to be the last Christmas that Deltics would rule supreme at East Coast Main Line. Whenever I've watched repeats over the years of the 1977 Morecambe and Wise Christmas show, I've often thought about what would have been going on at King's Cross Station as the show was being recorded. What would it be like if the cameras had gone out of the studio into the dingy evening smog on Wood Lane, down to Shepherd's Bush Green, and jumped on a Hammersmith and City Line tube train to King's Cross? Although not all that easy with a camera and pedestal weighing at over 300 kilograms, and come up the old wooden escalators onto the concourse at King's Cross and into the platforms, just in time to see 55001 St Paddy pulling into platform 4 with the Tyne Tees Pullman, and the Argyle and Sutherland Highlander departing on an evening express to Edinburgh. One grey Sunday afternoon in the spring of 1978, my friend Norman and I was sat on the grit bin at the end of Tunnel Road, watching the trains go by.
40061. That's a long sight machine. You don't see that around here very often, do you? I mean, it doesn't come through that much.
Just think, in 22 years' time, it'll be the year 2000. We'll be in our late 30s, can you imagine that?
Yeah. I mean, you think we'll have jobs and cars. We might even have girlfriends.
All right, calm down. Do you think there'll be a base on the moon by the year 2000?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the technology exists for it now, doesn't it?
How'd you work that out?
Well, Space 1999.
What?
Space 1999. That's on TV now, and that's based a whole year before the year 2000.
Are you serious?
Have you not seen it?
Yes, but that's not real, it's television.
Commander Koenig, Dr. Russell, Victor, Alan the Eagle pilot, all living on the moon. They've even got space eagles and everything.
So if we are to follow that train of logic, it would mean that the Starship Enterprise exists, and that we've had the ability to beam people to intergalactic space stations and travel to distant planets thousands of light years away 10 years ago in the 1960s.
What job do you think you'll have in the year 2000?
I don't know. I mean, well, there's so much to choose from, isn't there? I might be a guard, a signalman, an engine driver, track maintenance, railway electrician. I mean, who knows?
You've not considered a career outside of railways then?
Of course not. I might even get a job at Doncaster Works repairing Deltics. Ever thought about that?
What, in the year 2000?
Well, why not?
Oh, you got no chance. There'll be no Deltics left, you doofus.
What?
There'll all be razor blades or washing machines by then.
Do you think so?
You'll be lucky if there's any left by the year 1980.
Really? I've heard that they're all going to be running till at least 1985, and probably a small fleet running well into the 1990s and beyond.
No chance. It's all going over to the new HST in City 125 from the 4th of May. Yorkshire Pullman, Time Tees Pullman, Flying Scotsman, all going over to 125.
Yes, but I'm sure there'd be lots of work left for Deltics to do. I mean, there's lots of things they could do, isn't there?
It's funny you should say that, because I've heard a rumour that they might be doing parcels trains on the Midland Main Line from next October.
What time are you going for your dinner?
I've got to be in by 6.
So have I. Mother's doing a roast with new potatoes.
Are you going to be watching The $6 Million Man tonight?
But of course.
I quite like The Bionic Woman. Have you seen that?
Oh, the $6 million woman.
There you go. You better get used to the sight and sound of that.
What's that? It's a bean can. That's all that is. Just a bean can.
It's funny you say that. You're not the only one who's drawn such a comparison.
Did you get it?
56049, just out of Doncaster Works. You can still smell fish paint. Beautiful.
Luckily, not all of Norman's predictions regarding the future of Deltics were to be wholly accurate. But even so, I'd never really considered the possibility that the Deltics might one day end up in a scrapyard. I mean, it seemed utterly impossible to me. They seemed like they'd always been there, and always would be. They seemed so alive, and they seemed so important, running all day and all night. If one blew an engine, it would be rushed into Doncaster Works for a fresh engine, then straight back out onto the main line, onto an express to Edinburgh. How could they possibly be discarded and scrapped? But the beginning of the summer 1978 timetable did indeed spell the beginning of the end for my beloved Deltics. The crack Pullman services ended altogether, and the most prestigious Anglo-Scottish expresses, such as the Flying Scotsman service, went over to Intercity 125, or bean cans as they were by now known. My own imaginary railway empire had also run into trouble. In the November of '77, my elaborate network of woolen telephone wires had been hit by a stray rocket on bonfire night and had suffered a catastrophic fire that had set the whole garden on fire. Garden on fire! Oh, bloody fire brigade! Oh no! Mother had forbidden me to install any more wooden telephone wires after that.
In a city 125, so come and baby, new, sleek and quick. Flying bananas, bean cans or trams, they really make you sick. With plastic looks, sticky brakes, and the screaming sound it makes. X-Men, the left power under the hood is what makes the move so good. You better believe it's the only way to travel, and they're endorsed by Jimmy Savile.
summer of 1978, my chopper bike, 55007 Pinzer, had suffered a catastrophic failure whilst working the Saturday-only return from Frampton Chip Shop, when it somehow managed to eat its own gear mechanism, rendering it stored unserviceable in Cat's Cross Works. Despite my best efforts of trying to acquire a scrap chopper bike for parts, my available budget of £4.52 wasn't going to get me a single wheel nut, never mind a whole spares donor chopper. Pinzer stood in a bay platform, stored and serviceable for the foreseeable future. The unofficial bumper rubbish tip next to the unofficial effluent outlet pipe round the back of British ropes came good once again, when one morning I discovered a discarded old rusty granddad's bike, minus its front wheel, laying in the nettles. I took it home in the vain hope that it might have some parts that would allow me to get Pinzer running again. Although all the gears seemed to work just fine on the granddadsicle, there were no parts that were even remotely compatible with my chopper bike. I mean Pinzer. Then I had a rather brilliant idea. If I removed the chopper's small front wheel and fixed it to the granddadsicle, I would have a serviceable experimental bike. It could be a Derby Research Department experiment. I got my adjustable spanner out and quickly removed Pinzer's front wheel. And with a little stretching of the granddadzicle's front forks, I fitted the slightly fatter but massively smaller in circumference chopper front wheel. My new beast looked very strange indeed. A full adult-sized granddadsicle frame and back wheel with a little chopper front wheel. I christened it Diesel Prototype 3, or DP3 for short. It looked like some kind of demented dragster, but I was very proud of my innovative creation. The one big obvious problem being that the front brake caliper was nowhere near the rim of the front wheel where it should be to make contact with it in order to actually have any kind of braking effect. The rear road control brakes were seized solid, despite my efforts with a whole tin of 3-in-1 oil. But as this was purely experimental, I didn't think that having working brakes has been all that important at this stage. Let's see how it rides first and worry about brakes later, I thought. So one evening, I took DP3 out in the twilight on a test run. Having no brakes or lights, I of course decided to take it somewhere nice and quiet for its inaugural test run, so I headed down the bumper. As I coasted down the bumper hill with no brakes, I very quickly realised that the steering was extremely sensitive, with the very small wheel on the front. Just the slightest twitch in the wrong direction on the steering could have me coming a cropper. In fact, for one awful moment, I thought I was going to lose control of my experimental bike and crash into Bang Garage. Luckily, I regained control and started pedalling. I seemed to be getting the hang of it. As I approached Monkey Run Hill, I went down to first gear and started pedalling hard to get up the steep hill of the Monkey Run. The Monkey Run was a little tarmac path about half a mile long that ran from the back of the British ropes to the church in Ordsall. Nobody knows exactly why it was called the Monkey Run, but it seemed the perfect place to put DP3 through its paces. Once I climbed the hill onto the flat, I slipped DP3 into second gear and I pedalled for all I was worth. It went like the wind, and before I knew it, I was at the Ordsall end of the Monkey Run, momentarily going into a panic as I suddenly remembered my total lack of brakes as I approached the brick wall at the end of the path. Fortunately, I managed to bring DP3 to a halt by skidding my shoes on the ground, unfortunately wearing a hole through to my sock in one of them. Now it was time for the return working, and I thought I'd see just what this baby could do. I set off in second gear, and I quickly got up to maximum pedal revs. Then I slipped into third gear and gave it all I got on the pedals. It was an absolute flying machine. I was fast approaching the turn onto the Bunker Run Hill in the near darkness, so I eased off the power. I was still going like the clappers. Was I going too fast to make the turn? No, I've got this. I'll take the racing line. I can do this. Every ounce of my concentration focused on the approaching tight curve. I can do it. I can do it. As I leant the bicycle into the curve, suddenly I saw the red glow of 2 cigarettes in front of me and 2 shadowy figures dead ahead. I instinctively squeezed the brake levers, but nothing. I crashed into one of the figures, headbutting him at around 30 miles an hour. I saw the red sparks of his exploding cigarettes shower me as I was thrown from DP3 into the lattice wire fence. I looked back to see the chap I'd hit spin around 3 times, then collapse onto the floor like a scene from a Roadrunner cartoon.
My God, you killed him, man!
Oh, God! Oh, I'm so sorry! Oh, my God!
Quick, go and fetch his family!
I'm so sorry!
Go fetch his family!
Where do they live?
Number 38 Century Road! Oh my God!
As I stumbled to my feet, I seemed to be relatively unharmed. But I felt something warm running down my face. It was blood. Obviously from the dead man. I left the tangled remains of DP3 and ran up the bumper hill, desperately looking for the address that I'd been given for the dead man's family. Somehow, I thought that the address sounded vaguely familiar. As I ran out the Century Road, I became aware that the blood on me was not from the dead man's blood, but was coming from a cut above my own eye, and I was absolutely covered in my own blood. Suddenly, I realised that the address that I'd been given was for the notorious Paget family. Oh my God, I killed old man Paget. I found number 38 and I knocked on the door. Old Ma Paget answered the door to me, covered from head to toe in blood, looking like the sole survivor of a major air crash, and saying, "There's been an accident involving your husband." To which she screamed and went back into the house, shrieking and screaming and wailing. I thought that this would be a good time to make myself scarce. I walked back down towards the bumper, not quite knowing what to do next. Just then, I saw a shadowy figure under the glow of the tungsten street light, hobbling up Bumper Hill. It was a dishevelled-looking old man Paget, limping along, being helped along by his mate, who I later found out was his brother. Oh, the relief! He was alive! I'm so sorry! I really am sorry. They just walked past me, saying nothing. Old man Paget just looking at me through a pair of broken National Health spectacles that was somehow still half clinging to his face. I later realised that although I'd informed the Paget family that there had been an accident involving old man Paget, I hadn't thought to mention where the accident had actually taken place. And his family had been out desperately searching the surrounding area for over an hour, until they realised he was safely back home. The Pagets came around to our house the next day to present Mother with a bill for old man Paget's broken glasses for a whopping £137.50. An awful lot of money for a pair of free National Health specs. Thanks to Uncle Ernest for lending me the money to pay for them, which I'd finally paid off by October 1983. Saturday the 17th of June 1978 was Doncaster Works Open Day, and Norman and I were allowed to travel on our own up to Doncaster on the train. This was a very exciting prospect, for not only was this my first ever journey on a train that I wouldn't be accompanied by either Mother or Uncle Ernest, there was a very real chance that our train to Doncaster that day could be Deltic hauled, now that Deltics were hauling more of the accelerated semi-fast services since the introduction of the Intercity 125s. So on a bright, warm summer morning, Norman and I bought our tickets at the ticket office. 2 Child Away Day returns to Doncaster. We walked through the subway under the main line onto platform 2, where we eagerly awaited our train, the 10:05 to York, calling at Doncaster, Selby and York.
Here is special announcement. The intercity service to Doncaster, Selby and York due from platform 2 at 10:05 is running approximately 10 minutes late. We apologise for this and any inconvenience that may have been caused.
You know what that means, don't you?
We're going to be 10 minutes late into Doncaster.
No, yes, but no. What it means is that it's most probably a Duff and not a Deltic.
A Duff was a Class 47, and something that Deltic enthusiasts absolutely dreaded, mainly because they were so utterly boring and soulless compared to a Deltic. And there were 513 Duffs built compared to just 22 Deltics. A Duff had a top speed of 95 miles an hour compared to a Deltic's top speed of 100 miles an hour, meaning that a Duff couldn't quite keep up with Deltic timings.
Next train to arrive at platform 2 is the delayed 10:05 intercity service to York, calling at Doncaster, Selby and York.
Right on cue, the fat, ugly face of a rancid Duff rounded the curve to the south of Retford and pulled into platform 2. Norman and I reluctantly boarded the front Mark 2D coach.
That's good, isn't it? We've been bowled out by a Duff.
What do you mean, bowled out?
It's Deltic bashers speak for having to catch a Duff.
Deltic bashes were the thing of legend. There were people who rode behind Deltics constantly to accumulate mileage behind these mighty beasts. There are even rumours that some of them have been hauled by every single one of the Deltics. These were called the top men. I hardly think we could refer to ourselves as Deltic bashers, do you?
No,
Our first trip out on our own and we get a Duff.
we're not Deltic bashers. We're insects.
We're what?
Insects. That's what real Deltic bashers call the likes of us. Did you get the Duff's number, by the way?
No, I did not get the Duff's number. Who cares about the Duff's number? It's 47544, if you must know. Norman got his spotting book out and underlined 47544 in red and put HB next to it, indicating that he'd had it for haulage. Pathetic. After a short, uneventful journey to Doncaster, we alighted the train on platform 4 and made our way under the foot subway to the exit, where we excitedly walked along West Street, following the signpost that had been placed along the route to the works for the open day, showing us the way. Entering the hallowed ground of Doncaster Works, we got a little map of the works with our entry tickets and decided excitedly where we wanted to visit first. Norman wanted to visit the DMU repair shops, but I insisted that we visit the Crimsel shop, where there might be a Deltic under repair. As we turned the corner, we saw a freshly painted Deltic nose right in the middle of the grassy area. It was Deltic 4, and as we drew closer, it soon became apparent that it was only the yellow nose ends and the gleaming black fuel tanks and wheel sets that had a fresh coat of paint. The blue bodywork was rather faded and tired looking.
Well, that's good news anyway. Number 4 has been laid up here for quite a few months. It'll be good to see it out on the main line again. Oh, I wouldn't hold your breath.
A fat, greasy, dodgy-looking man who, despite the warm weather, was wearing a fully done-up Parker coat had just addressed us.
Number 4 is awaiting power units.
Right.
And so are number 1 and 20.
I see.
And 1's up there and number 20's down side over there.
Right.
It may be quite some time before either of them are released from the works.
Oh, thanks. Who the bloody hell's that? Norman and I quickly found Deltic 1 St Paddy, and to our delight the cab doors were wide open and kids were climbing in and out of it like a climbing frame. Norman and I climbed up into one of the cabs and looked around the inside of the cab with eyes like plates. This was the first time that either of us had been inside a Deltic cab.
Yeah, look at me. I'm taking the Aberdonian out of King's Cross.
Norman sat in the driving seat and pretended to drive St. Paddy. Take the brakes off then. I think it's that one.
No, that's the windscreen wipers.
Well, where's the brake handle? It's here on the floor, look.
I think it's missing. What's this gauge for? Vacuum?
I think this one's the accelerator.
You could be the second man. Here, make the tune.
I'm getting it. Tell me when you're ready then.
Go on, make the second engine kick in then.
So there's the horn, by the way. After taking it in turn to drive Deltic 1 to Aberdeen and back, we decided to have a look in the engine room at St. Paddy's mighty Napier Deltic engines. We squeezed ourselves through the narrow engine room door into the dark, oily cave deep inside the loco where the engines live. They've gone. Where are the engines?
That funny little bloke outside said that he was awaiting engines.
We didn't know it at the time, but that funny little bloke outside that we were talking to was none other than Deltic bashing legend Pete from Cleethorpes. And he was definitely a man in the know. Later on that afternoon, after partaking of refreshments on the lawn next to Deltic 4, we found Deltic 20, Nimbus, which had also been stripped of engines and was looking in an even sorrier state than St. Paddy. We gained access to one of the cabs and took it in turns driving Nimbus on the Night Scotsman, before heading back to the railway station at Doncaster and enduring yet another duff haulage back to Retford. But it had been an incredible day, actually being able to get into a Deltic cab and engine room. Albeit in one that didn't actually have any engines in it. I couldn't wait for the day that I would eventually see Deltic 4, Nimbus and St. Paddy roaring through on the main line, ex-works, in a shiny new coat of blue paint. I couldn't wait.
Of the sun that rose, catch the ripples of a faded Deltic nose, patiently waiting for fresh engines into the autumn night. As more parts are borrowed, the hope begins to fade like the autumn light. As the winters pass the main line, it's but a distant dream. No more blast through gas works tunnel where the engines scream. have been waiting in hope as the gas axe finally falls. Proud name boards are removed. They will never escape these walls. Once there was hope, but now none, or so it would seem. Now a blackbird has built its nest in the buffer beam. Time passes so slowly in the plan for the two faded racehorses that will never run again. Left to rot and be robbed, silently stand waiting in the rain. Surplus to requirements, non-standard. Can this be real? In the frozen mist, they are shunted under Goliath. I know how they feel.
It was a special announcement. This chapter terminates here. All change for the next chapter. Please ensure that you take all your belongings with you. This chapter terminates here. All change